Hey guys, Jeff Wiggum, K1 Community, picking back up uh, in Acts 9, but really after verse 6. But just to hit a little bit of context, so let's just jump back in. Hopefully, you watched the previous one. But the point of it is Saul, we're talking about Saul. He met Jesus and on the road to Damascus. Damascus is in another place outside of Israel, but there were Christians there. Clearly, there was a synagogue there. There was Jews there, right? So it was all involved. So what is this Damascus? It's relevant today, but we're talking about back in the day, and it's in an area called Aram, which is interesting because you think, well, Abraham and then Israel, and but the fact of it is, Abraham to Israel, now the descendants, Abraham was 2,000 years before Paul, which we're reading about right now. 2,000 years. That's as far as Paul is from us. But what are they talking about? Why is he going up there? So let's talk a little bit about it. Those areas around there, they all have a lineage. Aram, we just talked about. But Aram is Semitic, but not but above Abraham, right? He was before Abraham. The Ammonites and the Moabites, we hear about those guys. There's lots of trouble. Guess what? They were Lot having babies through his daughters. Edom is Esau, hates Jacob the whole time. The Philistines, it says are recorded in the Table of Nations, but at the same time, they're not local dudes, and I do not think they're Canaanite origins. But look into it. So freeze on any of these. We talked about Ham, Shem, and Japheth. It's more significant than we think about. It's very relative in our world of racial conflict and nations fighting against nations. But definitely on the spiritual side, when we start talking about the spiritual stuff, pause on these and just really keep looking down here and seeing about the genealogies and the timelines. I think it might change your perspective. Here's a couple different charts. And the timeline of just where the story is, where these events, these acts compared to us and compared to Abraham and whatnot. So let's hit this really about Damascus. Okay, so there's prophecies that include Damascus, okay, but like in Isaiah. But once Jonah is a story that deals with not so much Damascus, but Nineveh, which is in Assyria, which is Damascus is in Assyria. And so this whole area up there is a big deal. And so this is where Jonah, guess what? Jonah's supposed to be over in Nineveh, which is over here. But he's over here, right, running. But anyway, and guess what happens? Ironically, this is like in Aram, right? This is Assyria. This is an Assyria cylinder. So this is a really, really old thing. And guess what it is? A bunch of fish gods, right? They're worshiping fish gods. This is a city now, man. Damascus is massive. Guess what? Damascus is also all but a ruin. Okay, so let's keep going. And so let's just look where this fish god takes us and the rest of the stuff. And so let's talk about this Dagon character right here, ancient, and then the new dudes. Of course, these pagan, Babylonian, just whatever Catholics, which are not Christian. But you'll see it. You'll see this little star on there. It's not Star David. It's a lot older than that. It deals with different things. We already talked about that. You'll see all these old Dagon God stuff, and it's just incorporated with the broken cross and everything else. But it's not it's not something small. And I put on here this, this is actually some guy rebutting that this is some kind of a Dagon hat, and they just act like it's a hat and it was popular, and that's why they did it. If you read this, you pause this and read this, it's stupid, right? You'll realize that they're wearing stuff for completely wrong reasons. If it wasn't Dagon, plus Dagon was one of the when they put the Philistines put that ark in there, that god that fell over and his head fell off, that was Dagon. But here's Dagon right there, right? So we're all over that. Okay, so we're fixing to get back into the next part of the reading, right, in 30 seconds, but we're going to hold. And what we're going to see as we read through this stuff constantly is that we're going to see a bunch of miter hats everywhere when we start talking about all this nastiness. We're going to see a lot of it. We're going to see this sun wheel, sun cross, all kinds of sun and stars these folks are worshiping. It's going to be constant, right? So, and much less this gay flag and stuff like that they have. This is our religion of today. And guess what? Hadn't changed much.